It's the Post Pod Show.
The Post Pod Show. I'm Lou Diamond.
Is that it? I thought because in one you're talking about a cowboy hat. The cowboy hat's back.
Cowboy hat's
you know
on.
what? I don't even think we need a shtick or any sort of a format if you've got the cowboy hat.
That is 100% accurate.
I believe it. All right. Well, in that case, today let's talk about a little something. Let's talk about a thing. You know what I heard? I read this in the newspaper. It was also on Wikipedia. I don't know if you heard about this, but
it's not Wikipedia, or is it Wikipedia?
It's pronounced Wikipedia. Another one you may not have known. It's actually not pronounced microwave. It's pronounced microwave.
Whoa.
I saw it on the internet. It was on Instagram.
It's probably correct. Okay.
Definitely. Don't look it up. The postseason has been delayed. And what I mean by that is, I don't know, maybe this happened to you. Maybe it hasn't happened to you. But have you ever noticed that editing and post-production sometimes takes a lot longer than you said it was going to? Like, you're like, hey, our episode will be out tomorrow. And then 2026 rolls around and
you have delays. I would actually even argue part of that delay is because most of us can't even find the raw recordings that we go through, which we just went through for this particular show.
It's true. I have that happen a lot. I record things and then they go into like a particular folder and there's just this giant folder of files. And then I forget to get them to my producer editor. And she's like, what's the name of the episode? And where's the video file? And are you alive?
At least she asked in that order, as opposed to asking you, are you alive first? She knew her priorities. She said the content was more important than your life at all times. So
because content is king.
Content is king. Or just really royal is what it would be. But getting back to your topic about delayed post-production, we one time, and I kid you not, we had 3 years past the actual interview date. We had a whole feature, the lost episodes of our podcast. Legitimately,
can I share? I have two of those right now. I have two that are at least 3 years old. And I know, I'm like, if I ever saw either of these people online or something, I would duck and be like, I feel so ashamed.
I think if you're a podcast host and you set expectations as to when the episode will actually happen and you fail to deliver on that, okay, that's on you. But if you don't set any expectations, I don't think it's that bad. It would be terrible, but bringing it to our sports analogies, which you and I like to do, it would be along the lines of, hey, I got a ticket to the game, and that game is in the season of 2026, right? Like when let's go to the game. Oh, we're going. Yeah, we got tickets. When? 3 years from now. So that's kind of what you want some kind of proximity to where that is, but the postseason being delayed is a wonderful way of putting it. I like your terminology there.
Yeah. So are you then saying that the solution here, podcasters, listen up, is that you should just never set expectations for your guests? Just completely leave them in the dark. Is that the move?
So we're really good on one particular podcast we have. We are pretty scheduled, mostly because we kind of care about our guests. No, we care very much about our guests.
There's a lot of unpacking of implications there, but let's keep going.
But I also find that if we believe content is king, we love to get that content out. And if it goes too long, I legitimately will feel guilty about it. I will like, to your point about running into someone. I don't even, that email came in for me saying, hey, any chance our episode's coming out soon? I'd like the sooner than later.
Yeah.
But you should set some expectations. Yes. But setting no expectations would be completely unfair. That would be
Lou, let's get real vulnerable. Let's get real vulnerable together. Okay. You got the hot mic in front of you. So here's the question for you. I guess to set it up, have you always had someone helping you with production, or did you ever edit your own episodes?
No. Oh, I to this day, I still get involved in the editing process for two reasons. One, I'm the fastest gun in the West.
Pew, pew, pew. Clip, cut, rubber bands.
I literally, this is terrible. I have edited podcasts, not blind, but deaf. I have literally my headphones weren't working, and I just ballparked lining up guest, my thing, intro, outro, kind of put where it should be, even had music incorporated where it would bleed and fade it out. Did not even listen to it and put up the episode, and it was pretty damn good.
That is bold.
Yes. Not often, but I still do get involved in editing the episodes when needed. My amazing team of interns do it most of the time, mostly because they can handle many more at once than I can. But that's just the reality. So I do get involved. Yeah, I still get in it.
Hmm.
Do you?
So I've gone through different phases throughout my podcasting life. I would say if you look at the entire body of my podcasting, I've edited more than I haven't. So I've probably edited roughly 80% of 80,
That's a big
85,
number.
90%, a lot of them. Right. And I don't know if that's a control thing, if it was just, I was too lazy to find somebody to delegate it to, but, I now have a pretty good process, and my producer is crushing it and she's great. But the other thing about the delays that I found is that where I ran into the biggest delay was, I had planned a shift from Shareable over to Rogue, and I was going to do Rogue as like this big long storytelling thing where I was going to like chop it. Like it was going to be very like This American Life, Serial. Like I was just going to chop it up and like use clips of interview and then interludes of me talking and the whole thing. And I had this whole big idea, and I had one half finished pilot, and I told the people I was talking to, this is what I'm going to do. So we recorded it in this alternative way. And then I just completely abandoned the idea because it was so much work. And I found what I realized is that the secret to post-game delays and to avoiding them is you got to just get the editing down to the bare minimum. Like slap on an intro, slap on an outro. Like, unless somebody's like, hey, I really put my foot in my mouth there, I'd really love it if you cut that part. Or I hear them say something that I'm like, that's not going to represent well on you. For the most part, I just, here's the whole interview that's happening. Here's the intro. Here's the outro. We out. That's the whole thing. So I try to cut out any sort of like creative decisions that need to be made. So it gets just right to the ballpark, right to the finish line.
Like editing it without hearing it. I totally
yeah, like that. Maybe not the best move.
Not a best move, but I will tell you, it actually episode got a lot of listens. Here's what I think is the most important thing for all your hosts out there. I think a good practice is to at least get it into a system or a queue really fast, and know and as best as you can set the expectation. But understand that certain times of the year things might get delayed. I wanted to get this point about some people love editing. I'm going to give a shout out, Michelle Katz, who hosts Cornell Thank You is actually what it's called. It looks like Cornell U, but it's got the thank in the middle. And she has a dedicated show towards all these amazing Cornell alumni, and she features them and along with her amazing host and the two of them. But she loves the editing. She loves to edit. She loves to get in there and do all the stuff. Like she's like that's her thing. And then there are people who hate it. But timeliness and setting up a good calendar and sticking to it is just going to help you so that the podcast doesn't run away from you, or you end up having guests see you when you walk into them and go, hey, how about that interview we did 4 years ago?
Yeah, but you're making me think of something that's, I think, a really important part, maybe a good point to close on, which is the setting expectations thing versus also like busy season, right? Like, so I know you've had times where it's like you've got 20 episodes maybe stacked up or something, right? Like you've had so many different conversations with people, and maybe you had like a series of days where you just had it open, so you had a bunch of interviews, so you get them all stacked up. You got to set expectations in that setting where it's like, sorry, I have 10 guests in front of you. So then you're kind of like letting people know, hey, don't expect this to go out, in the next week. It's probably going to take about 10 weeks. So I think there's a balance between setting expectations versus setting yourself up for failure. If you sign yourself up for something that was a little too ambitious.
One more point to this, because a lot of people come to us, both you and me, for our other shows to promote something that has a launch date or has a release date, and they're trying to get that out as near to that date as possible. We work with that. Like I've people who are not sensitive to when the date of the episode comes out, they're like, hey, whenever it comes out, I'm happy with it.
Just let me know.
Some people have some purpose, and they're like, I really want this episode to drop the week of when my book comes out, or the week before it, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, and we'll accommodate to that. It could be problematic at times because, like now you'll get a whole bunch of other episodes. You're like, oh, I forgot about this one, or whatever it might be. So managing your, the post-production, important stuff, just as important as managing the episode itself. So I like setting expectations and giving a timeline.
I want to ask you one more question before we go, because I just thought of it. But I know on Thrive, for the most part, you list the number and the guest's name. And I've noticed that at some points you also have a title to the episode, but I know you have other podcasts. I'm curious, when do you come up with the title for the episode generally? Great
question. So I'm going to use two examples of this show. 9 times out of 10, the guest has kind of given us what that title should be. It might be the name of their book. It might be a program they're running. or something that we hit upon that within that conversation. Maybe it's their business, maybe it's a tagline of their business or something like that. So that part we'll set up pretty early. but many times when it's just a casual conversation, something literally the name of the episode comes out in the actual episode in the conversation.
Yeah,
that has happened often. Yes, and I actually like that better. Evan Money and I do the show Diamond Cuts Money Talks. Evan Diamond Cuts Money Talks. It's a sports show about life, leadership, the NFL, and in that podcast, the title is unearthed in our conversation, and that's it. It always is something funny that has happened, and that becomes the title, making you want to listen to it. So we're getting good at that. But when it's an interview guest of that person, we want to relate it to who that person is so they can connect. So yeah, but we do the numbers too. Yeah.
Does it make me a diva that I would never let a guest tell me what the title of the episode is? And I would never agree to it. I will always name my own episode. And because I think part of it is
I don't think I want to clarify. They're not giving me the title.
No, I mean,
with the content that they have, we're saying, let's just use that. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Like me, I'm like, nah. I know what your book title is called. I'll come up with the names here, buddy. It's my show, Buster. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that I called it the Speakeasy Lovable Leader when I had you on the podcast, but that was intentional because we were focused on both of our books at that particular point. So
yeah, I think that's fair. All right.
To all of our guests out there, these are things to think about when you're doing it. Just, plan it out. Whatever works for you. The more you can plan ahead, the better systems you can have, and especially the more help you can have. That right there, that's really going to help you with your with getting things out on time and not having any postseason delays. So that's our advice here from the Post Pod Show.
It's the Post Pod Show.